right, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Mary Alexanders. If you're watching from YouTube, welcome. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow all of our socials. On Instagram, I think it's Beyond the Whistle Pod, and then Twitter and TikTok is BTW Podcast _ to keep up with all the new guests and all the things we have going on over here at Beyond the Whistle. If you're watching from YouTube, be sure to leave a comment and I guess say where you're watching from. I like to build a community here at Beyond the Whistle, so it's cool to see where everybody's tuning in from. If you don't want to put where you're from, put like your favorite college football team or something down there. I don't know, to get to know each other a little better. I made a little trip today for today's episode, and today's guest is a very special one. He has a lot of stuff going on, and he is a literal record breaker. So without further ado, welcome to Beyond the Whistle, Aaron Philo.
Thank you for having me.
It is so great to have you here. Before we started having some technical difficulties, so hopefully everything is running smoothly per normal now. We started recording and the audio just was not doing it. But Aaron's been a trooper. I appreciate you for being patient with me and for being here today. We've been talking for about a year now, so it's great that we're finally ready or able to get here.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a journey, man. And for those of you who don't know, today is December 17th. This will air sometime in January, but we are 6 days post-state championship where you just got your third ring, and you broke the state all-time career passing record, which is huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How's it feel? Are you still kind of riding that high from the state championship?
Yeah, for about a week now, but after that, I mean, it's going to be time to get back to work. So.
Yeah. How's life been, I guess, since then? Been busy?
Been very busy. My phone's been blowing up like a lot.
Yeah, I bet it has been.
Other than that, I've been able to relax a little bit, sleep in a little bit, so it's been good.
Good. I bet you are excited about sleeping in.
Yes.
What's the latest you've slept in since the season ended?
Probably like 10, which is not like, it's not like.
Well, I guess when you're used to being on like a school schedule.
Normally wake up at like 6 in the morning every day.
Yeah,
So.
Oh my gosh. I do not miss those days with high school. But before we start talking about, the nitty-gritty stuff, for those of you who don't know who Aaron is, he is committed to Georgia Tech. He's set to sign later this week. By the time this episode airs, you'll already be moved in to Georgia Tech. But for those of you who don't know who he is, he's a quarterback here at Prince Avenue Christian in Athens / Oconee County, and he just broke Trevor Lawrence's all-time passing record, which is huge. I mean, has that even, set in that you're the number one in history, dude? It's not like number one in the state. It's like of all time, which is crazy. Has that hit you yet?
Honestly, I don't think it has yet. I think later down the road when maybe I'm like 40 years old and, I look back and I see my name in the record books, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think, that's so crazy. I don't think I would ever wrap my mind around if I was the best in history. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now every quarterback from here on out is, setting out to, beat you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that is just huge. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You did that. It was over 13,000 yards in basically 3 full seasons. Trevor Lawrence had 4.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. You had 3, which is huge. But before we start talking about all the stats and before we start talking about, all of your accomplishments, I want to talk about you. This is Beyond the Whistle. We try to get to know you guys outside of your sport, outside of football. And so we're here in Oconee County, driving up. I realize it's a lot like South Georgia, a lot of fields.
Yep.
Lots of cows.
Yeah.
Lots of livestock, things like that. So very country. But, talk to me, growing up in Athens / Oconee County, what did you and you guys do for fun, outside of football?
There's a lot of fishing. There's a lot of hunting that goes around. But, other than that, you really just hang out with your friends and you find stuff to do.
Yeah. When I was in high school, if you weren't doing a bonfire or something or hunting or fishing, you were at Sonic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we hit up the Sonic and stuff. But, growing up in Athens, given that you're committed to Georgia Tech, were you a Georgia fan?
I was not a Georgia fan growing up.
What were you? I already know the answer to this.
I was a Tennessee fan.
Oh, Aaron. No hate to all the Tennessee volunteers out there. No hate, no hate, no hate. But, I guess that made it easier on you, considering when it came to colleges and stuff, because that would suck if you grew up a UGA fan and ended up going to Tech, then it would be like a house divided or whatever. Is your entire family like Tennessee fans or?
No. My mom, we're all Georgia Tech now. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure.
yeah.
And it's so funny. I was telling you earlier, my sister's also going to Georgia Tech. So y'all probably see each other on campus. She'll be playing softball, and she's super excited about it, man.
Yep.
Talk to me about Prince Avenue Christian. I've never been to a game. You know what I mean? So really talk to me about what it's like Friday night lights here.
To me, I mean, I've been to other high school games, but I really don't think there's anything like this place. Just the community of this place. Like, everyone's bought into football and all the other sports, and everyone's bought into the school. So, it really just makes, like, a big family feel. Like, you come out to a game on Friday nights, and there's no seats left in the bleachers. So, it's packed, and I love it.
Yeah. How many kids are you going to graduate? Well, count out that you're early enrolling. How many kids are you going to graduate with,
About
roughly?
70 or 80.
That is so crazy to me because I literally graduated with I think it was over 500 maybe, or right at around 500, which is that's just crazy. I couldn't imagine having a class of 70 people. But I guess there's pros and cons to that. Now you've always gone to PAC, right?
I came here in 7th grade. So
okay, that's crazy. I went to Tift County in 7th grade.
Really?
I moved from Kentucky to Tift County in the middle of my 7th grade year, in January of my 7th grade year.
Gotcha.
Where were you at before here?
I was at another private school about 20 minutes from here in Monroe.
Okay. Did you play more than one sport?
I played baseball my freshman year, and I played basketball last year.
Oh, really?
Yep, I did.
Really? I didn't know that you played basketball last year.
Yep.
Is that the only season that you played basketball?
Yeah, in high school. I played
Did you just up and decide to,
I'm
going to go shoot some hoops today?
I loved basketball growing up. That was my thing. I just loved it, so I was like, only got one more year of high school, why not do it? I'm not going to get to play next year, so why not? And I ended up having a blast.
Yeah, how'd y'all do?
We did pretty good. I don't remember our record, but we lost in the first round of the state playoffs by 2 points to the team that went to the state championship. So.
Wow, I didn't know you played baseball. Or basketball. I figured you were more like a baseball type of guy.
Yeah, I played baseball freshman year. I played baseball my whole life growing up. I was big into baseball. I wanted to go play baseball in college, but I hurt my elbow freshman year, and so that kind of set me off that path for baseball. And I just felt like I was going down the path of football, so I stuck to it, and it's worked out.
Yeah. And you already told us that, your main hobbies, I guess, outside of football was basically hunting, fishing.
Yeah.
And just hanging out with your friends. Do you have any, special, I don't want to say talents, singing? Can you draw? Just pretty simple, basic guy?
Yeah, I'm pretty simple. I can't sing or draw. I can't play an instrument either.
That's okay. We don't really expect you to. It's perfectly fine. Getting, talking around. Wow, I just had a stroke trying to talk. But when we talk about, your background growing up, who really got you into football?
So I kind of started playing when I was young, and it wasn't anything that someone really got me into. It was just, I just decided to play football, and I got up till 6th grade, and I wasn't really liking it. I didn't play quarterback starting until 8th grade, so I was playing tight end growing up, and I didn't really like it that much. And then 8th grade came around, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to football. So I got out there, and I was gonna play tight end again, and then one of the coaches had seen me play baseball, and he was like, hey, this kid's got an arm, so they put me back at quarterback, and
Oh, so you hadn't always, since you were little, wanted to play quarterback?
No. I always wanted to play quarterback, but, it just never happened until 8th grade, so.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Which is not long ago. That's 5 years ago, if that? And then literally 5 years later, you broke the all-time passing record.
Yes, ma'am.
In the state of Georgia, which now that you say that, I had no idea that you just started to play quarterback in 8th grade. I figured that because there's a lot of kids that work to play quarterback since they're yay high.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going to passing academies and all of that stuff. Did you ever go to any of those camps and those passing academies to really get, I guess, in the groove of being the quarterback?
I didn't. I kind of just learned on my own, and then come around ninth grade year, I started training with Coach John Rick. He's our offensive coordinator, but he wasn't before, and he trained a bunch of guys in the area. I started working with him, and, he really helped out my mechanics a lot, and, I just can't say enough about him. He's a great guy and great coach.
The entire game of football is basically designed around the quarterback, and it's a big responsibility. You have to know everything, every position, every play, everything. So, I guess adjusting to being a quarterback as opposed to you growing up a tight end and other like positions, what was the biggest challenge?
I think the thing was you had to know everything that was going on the field, and everything that, you got to know what everyone's route is, and you got to know, what the play is, as opposed like you're a receiver, you only have to know your thing. And so I think that was just the biggest thing.
Yeah. And then when did you realize, like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. I'm kind of good at being a quarterback. I think it can go somewhere.
I guess it was sophomore year. That was my first year starting, and it ended up being a pretty successful year. So I was like, dang, like I can have a real shot at this. And so I just worked my butt off, and it worked out.
Yeah, it did work out. Because some people don't know this, especially if they hadn't, followed you or Prince Avenue. They don't know that your dad is Greg Vandegrift, who is Brock Vandegrift's dad. Brock Vandegrift also played here at PAC. Then he went to Georgia, and then now he's at Kentucky. He just committed to Kentucky to go play over there. What was it like, sitting behind a quarterback like Brock, even if it was only for a year?
Yeah, he was top quarterback in this class, so he actually picked me up at like 6:30 every morning, and we came and we worked out, just a couple of guys on the team, and we would work out every morning at like 6:30. So kind of just taught me hard work and what it takes to get there.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing, I guess, even if it's like schematically, even if it's not, that you learned just by watching him on the sidelines?
I would say just like being a leader and just the leadership aspect of it.
Yeah. And his dad, Greg, seems like an awesome dude. I haven't met him personally, but all I've heard is just wonderful, great things about him. And when you've won as many state championships as he has, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? But talk to me about playing for Coach Vandegrift, what type of coach he is, and how he's kind of helped shape you into who you are.
Coach Vandegrift, I can't say enough about him. He's helped shape me into the man that I am today. He instilled like hard work in me, and he does that with everyone else. And he's really just kind of like a father figure to some people on the team. His thing, he wants to win ball games, but he also wants to shape you into a good young man and prepare you for the next aspect of life.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of times, and I've mentioned this before on the podcast with other people, but, when you step into the role as a coach, you're not stepping in as the role of a coach. You're stepping in as the role of a dad, or you're stepping in, as someone of a mentor. And that's such a great responsibility to have. You know what I mean? And it's so great that you have a coach like Coach Vandegrift who takes that responsibility seriously.
Yep.
Especially, that leads you guys in great values. And I think that's also something that comes with being at a Christian school, is you are taught the values, you know what I mean? That not everybody has, not everybody, has to have them. But I think they are all very beneficial. And I think it's awesome that you were able to be coached by him.
Yep.
Let's talk about the first time you ever started. Walk me through your first varsity game.
Okay.
And what happened?
All right. So
was it good? Was it a good debut?
It was very bad. It was very bad. So first varsity start, we had a 4-hour drive down to Savannah, playing a very talented Calvary Day team. Ended up throwing 4 interceptions, and we lost by like 7 points. So it wasn't bad, but then
you threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah. Then the next game, we come back, and it's our first home game, and I throw for 557 yards. So.
Well, I think that's a good way to come back from throwing 4 interceptions. What do you think that was for? Was it just nerves, or were they just actually really, really good? Or?
They were really talented. I hadn't seen anything like it before. It was my first start. But I think it was nerves too.
Yeah. Do you still kind of get nervous sometime before games, or is it just?
Not really. I think it was just, first start nerves.
That's crazy that your game went horribly. Your very first career start went horribly, and then literally 3 years later, you're where you are now.
Honestly, I'm not mad that it happened because I think that, that kind of shaped me into who I am today as a football player. I think I just learned a lot from that game and, about when to throw the ball away, when you can make throws, when you can't make throws, and kind of learned to just can't get too high and you can't get too low. You kind of got to stay in the middle and, don't let your emotions get a hold of you.
Yeah. Let's talk about your teammates. Let's talk about the team because you can't win. You've literally won 3 state championships. And so you can't win 3 state championships without a team, right?
True.
Let's talk about practice. Who do you feed off of most in practice? It can either be, having a goofy, fun time, someone who pushes you to be better.
I would say Coach Rick. He pushes me to be better every day, and I think that's what I like most about him. He's never going to lie to me. He's always going to be straight up with me, tell me if I'm doing bad or if I'm doing good. So, he really just helps me push myself every day and holds me accountable. Christian Garrett, he's one of our D linemen. He brings the energy every practice. So, it's fun to compete with him and the other guys on the defense. So, competition.
Yeah, and I'm guessing, your receivers, have you been with your receivers that you were with this year for all 3 years? Like, were those your starting receivers, or was there kind of like, I guess, people from your very start? Are you still with the same starters?
So, sophomore and junior year, I had a receiving core, and, it was unbelievable. We had Josh Britt, Bailey Stockton, who's at Georgia Tech now, Ethan Christian, who's at Georgia Southern now. Those 2 years, very talented group of guys. And so, we lost they all graduated. They were all seniors last year, so they graduated. So we were bringing in a whole new receiving core this year besides our tight end, Nick Hurley. And so, we didn't really know how, people were going to fit into the offense and stuff. But, we did a lot of 7-on-7s over the summer, and, this new group of guys just kind of emerged, and they did a really good job this year of learning the offense and learning when they're open and when they're not open. So, they just did a really good job.
Yeah. As a quarterback, I think a lot of people, when a game goes bad, everybody wants to blame the quarterback. Like, if you're getting sacked a lot, people still blame the quarterback. But there's a bunch of moving parts as to a quarterback's performance. Am I right?
You are very right.
Obviously you got to depend on your receivers to catch the ball. You got to depend on your O-line to block for you. You have to depend on literally just everybody to do their job, right? So as a quarterback, who or what position is the one that you think that you're most dependent on during a game?
I think the first answer would probably be the center. He's the one that snaps the ball to you every play if you're in shotgun. So we had a really good center, Austin Head, this year, and he's been the center for the past 3 years with me, and he'll graduate with me this year. But, their snaps can go bad, and if the snaps go bad, then the whole play goes bad. So
yeah. And after that, would you say it's the offensive line?
I would. You can't throw the ball if you don't have time to throw the ball. So
yeah. And we know your passing yards. Let's talk about your rushing yards. Is there a reason you never ran the ball? Is it because you didn't want to get hurt, or are you just not a fan of running the ball? Or were you just never asked to?
Right. Yeah. I didn't really get asked to run the ball much. I think it's because maybe the coaches didn't want me to get hurt, but I ran the ball a little in the state championship.
Which is smart.
So, yeah.
And again, let's continue talking about your teammates. I'm down in South Georgia, so I wasn't able just to cover you guys all year this year. What were some really big standout players on your team that really helped lead you guys to get that third ring?
I would say I would start with our receivers, C.J. Dockery, Hudson Hill, Nick Hurley, Thornton Hester. They all did a great job this year, and I couldn't be more thankful for that group of guys. On the O-line, Austin Head, he did a great job. He's a center. He's done a great job for the past 3 years, and, he's a leader on the field, and, he helped get us going sometimes. On the defensive side, Christian Garrett, he's a D lineman. He's a 4-star right now. He's got a bunch of offers. He's a great player. Mac Bradley and Gaines, Scoggins, Max a linebacker, and Gaines plays safety. But those guys have just, they've stood out this year, and they've done a great job.
I always like to give people the opportunity, talk about their teammates because, like we said, it's a team sport.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
a lot of the time, the spotlight was on you at that state championship game because everybody knew that record was on the line, right? Even after the game, obviously all the media and everybody was wanting to talk to you, right? Do you think that how were your teammates as far as when it came to you getting, all of this attention, even though they had something to do with it too, how were they after the game? And as far as, like I said, you getting all the attention, I guess.
Yeah. They were just really supportive. They were all really happy for me. And, I couldn't have done any of it without them because, people got to catch the ball. The O-line's got to block and the defense has to get stopped. So, I don't like to take credit for it because, so much goes into it with the team.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good attitude to have, and I think Georgia Tech, for all the Yellow Jackets watching, y'all should be excited, to have a quarterback that thinks that way. It's almost like a we over me type of deal,
For sure.
Which I think is awesome and very special. Did you ever feel this type of pressure, either one, to beat the record, or to two, just like play a perfect game every time, I guess, to please fans, to please your coaches, to please everybody else?
I would say this season is probably one of the most pressure things I've dealt with. I got caught up in trying to be so perfect on the field that I kind of just lost the aspect of the game that of my game, kind of just like making plays with my legs and stuff like that. So I played a little more freely in the playoffs, and I think that showed. Also, I would say the record kind of got to me about late regular season, and I started thinking that I had to throw for a bunch of yards and stuff. But once Coach Vandergrift came to me and he was like, you just got to let it go and focus on winning the state championship. And I was just like, yeah, the main goal for me is to win a state championship. I'm not really even worried about the record. I just want to win a state championship with these guys. But, it was still in the back of my mind, and I still wanted to do it.
Yeah. So when you were going into that state championship game, knowing that you only had to have 301 yards to break the record, did you – were you nervous before playing in a state championship game, or were you just used to it by now because it was your third one? And then with that, was there a little bit of, like you said, that added pressure of wanting to beat the record?
The record was not in my mind at all.
Really?
It was in the back of my mind. I was solely focused on winning the game and winning the state championship with my teammates. But, I didn't really feel any pressure. I didn't get any nerves because, you've been there before. So.
Yeah. What was the difference? Which one was your I get that's kind of a dumb question because I figured this would be your favorite state championship game because of the fact that you beat the record and all the good things happened.
Right.
But I guess, was there a little bit of a difference in entering this state championship game as far as other state championship games? Because I know, correct me if I'm wrong, last year you guys were undefeated going into this game.
Yep.
This year you only had one loss.
Right.
So when you compare the two, because an undefeated record, that's huge now. And to be perfect all season long, people don't understand how hard that is at any level.
Yeah.
In any classification, it's hard to go undefeated and to even win a state championship, right?
Yep.
And so compare last year's 14-0 year to this one, even though it's 14. You were 14-1, but
right.
Same difference. You still won a state championship,
right,
and beat a record.
Yeah. Last year, we had a bunch of older guys, so that had been there before, and they understood the state championship. So last year, there was a confidence going into the game, and there was a confidence this year too. It was just if the young guys, were gonna kind of freak out in the moment, but they didn't, and they did a great job. They didn't freak out at all. They did their job, and yeah.
Were y'all relatively a younger team this year, or did y'all have more seniors than most?
So we only had about 6 seniors that started. So we were a really young team this year.
Yeah, and like we said, it's a big deal to win a state championship. Nonetheless, go 3 times and win.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all were back-to-back this year. So let's flip back all the way to the summer. What was that speech afterwards, or that first day of practice, padded practice you're getting in? Was it already, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to win the state championship again this year? Or was it still like, we're going to have to grind if we want to win the state championship this year?
I mean, we all knew that we were going to have to grind because, we lost a ton of seniors from the year before, like 20-something. Mm-hmm. So we had lost, like, a ton of our team. So we knew we were going to have to grind. We definitely weren't like, oh, we got this thing, like, in the bag easy. We knew we were going to have to grind. And so, everyone kind of pursued that, and everyone worked, like, really hard, and, that showed.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge or struggle you kind of went through the past 4 years?
That's a good question. I really can't really think of anything. I haven't really gone through a lot. So, I don't.
Well, that's good.
I don't.
That's not a bad thing at all.
Right.
That's great. Let's start off with recruiting. How about that?
Okay. Okay. That was a struggle.
Yeah, I feel like I think you were thinking I was looking for like some sort of dramatic.
Yeah.
Like somebody died or something like that. No, I get just little things that kind of were like, I guess, a big deal to you maybe. Yep. And I have a feeling recruiting's one of them. So let's talk about recruiting. Was it a slow recruitment process for you?
It was very slow. I saw a bunch of other quarterbacks in my class. They were getting offers and everything, and I was like, where am I at? I feel like I'm getting overlooked and everything. So, but like I struggled through that process just because like I wasn't quite understanding why like that was happening, and it made me kind of feel like maybe I wasn't good enough. But I kind of just pushed through that, and it ended up working out. So
when did you get your first, I guess, interest for you to go and visit a school? Who was it?
I would say UCF invited me to come visit and come do a camp after they had offered me. So I went and did that, and that was kind of the first visit. But other than that, I would say my first visit didn't come till like last year after the state championship. I went on a visit to Minnesota after they had offered me, and that was like my first kind of like real visit. Like they
official?
Yeah, like they really wanted me to go there.
Yeah. On that visit, what was your first impressions of Minnesota?
I'm not gonna lie, it was snowing and it was really cold, and being from Georgia, I'm not really used to that.
I could imagine. I'd be like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a blanket on right now, and it's like 55.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen snow like that before, and I was like, whoa. And so, but, I did like the campus and everything, and, the one thing that really attracted me to Minnesota was the coaches. Mm-hmm. But,
Coach Fleck was a big reason. Mm-hmm. Coach Fleck's a good guy.
Yeah,
what were your impressions of Coach Fleck?
He was awesome. I got a lot of good things to say about him. I like him a lot, but, it's a long way away, and so.
It's literally across the country.
I went on my second visit up there after that first visit, and I'd already committed by then, and so on my second visit, I got up there, and, I kind of just had this feeling in my stomach, like, this is not the place, so.
Yeah.
I went on that visit, and I got back, and, I prayed about it for a week or so and really just thought about it and talked about it with my family, and I decided to decommit and open my recruitment back up.
Yeah. And were you nervous opening up your recruitment again?
Yeah, it was definitely hard to make that phone call just because, like, you built a relationship with those guys, and, so it was hard to do that, but after that, it was honestly exciting because I felt like I got a bunch more offers after that, and so it was exciting for that happened.
Yeah. And then another thing, too, is you guys obviously are making these decisions when it comes to committing and things like that for your future. Keyword your, right?
Yep.
But fans sometimes think it's theirs, right?
Yeah.
Fans are like, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? I know Minnesota has a pretty passionate fan base for the most part. I don't know if it's as passionate as, obviously the Georgias of the world, Alabamas of the world, or like the schools we have down in the South.
Right.
But I do know that when they're good, they're going to pack out the stadium.
For sure. Yeah.
But did you get any negative feedback or anything like on Twitter or
I
anything
did.
like that?
Yeah, I did like on my Twitter post when I decided to decommit, but I mean, that stuff doesn't really bother me. People are gonna say what they want to say. It's like grown people like trying to hate on an 18-year-old kid trying to make a decision for his future. Like,
Yep.
I mean,
It's like,
it's just
dude,
crazy that there's people like that in the world, honestly. But I mean, it is what it is. People are gonna do it whether you like it or not. So you got to learn how to just ignore it.
Yeah, and too, I mean, you guys are kids, but when it comes to deciding your future, even if it is just committing, I mean, that's a grown-up decision.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's almost like me taking a job. You know what I mean? Like moving across the country to take a new job. Like that's a grown-up decision. You know,
Yep.
like you guys deciding where you want to go. That's one of the first adult decisions you're ever going to make in your life, and it's one of the most important ones. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And so for all the fans out there, y'all gotta chill out. Y'all gotta chill, man. Chill. We understand the passion. We understand it. But, like, I think because they've never seen or met you guys before, it's so easy for them to not feel bad about what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they haven't put, like, so-and-so. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think, like, person interaction or knowing somebody makes it so much easier for you to hate on them. And I think through social media, we've seen that, especially in sports. I've seen it. I've gotten the heat end of stuff, right? And I'm like, I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
But I'm just a girl living in the world. But, and so with that, what really, like you said, you seem like a guy, you just don't care.
Yeah.
You're like me. I do not care what people say.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can literally say whatever you want in the world to me. I'm not going to care because I know who I am at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I think that's important to have. But when you were making that decision, when you decided to decommit, when did the phone calls start rolling in
That
from
night,
other schools?
That night, like literally like 10 minutes after I posted it.
Really?
Like Cincinnati called me, Duke called me, North Carolina called me. So I mean, like right after.
Yeah.
So.
Which was exciting.
It was.
I bet the fact that
yeah.
you had all these. Now, did anybody offer you? Ooh, I just did that. Now, did anybody offer you like right then and there on that phone call, or was it just talks about like, hey, would you be interested?
So
like, I'm curious on how the recruiting process works.
Middle
like
Tennessee, right after Middle Tennessee State, they offered me right after. Cincinnati called me and was like, they were just gonna like look it over again, and they offered me the next day. And I visited North Carolina and Duke, and they didn't end up offering me, but you know, I got a bunch of other like James Madison, Coastal Carolina, so a couple of those other schools.
Yeah. So when did Georgia Tech roll in?
Georgia Tech rolled in before I had committed to Minnesota. So
Okay.
Yep.
And so then after that, did they reach back out to you, or did you give them a call?
Well, they were still recruiting me while I was still committed to Minnesota. You know, I had a great relationship with those guys still, and so I took a couple other visits, but I visited Georgia Tech again, and I think it was, I don't know how long it was, but like in May, I decided I was gonna commit to Georgia Tech, and I was gonna be done with recruiting, and so yeah.
What sealed the deal for you as far as committing? What was the ultimate?
It's an hour away from home,
Yeah.
but
As opposed
I mean, that's
to
not
up there in the snow.
right. That's not like the first thing. The first thing was probably really the coaches. Coach Winkie, he was a Heisman Trophy winner, and he played in the NFL, so he knows what it takes to get there. And you know, that's one of my goals in the future is to win a Heisman Trophy and go to the NFL. And so he knows what it takes to get there, and so I know that I'm in good hands, and he's going to push me to work as hard as I can. And so Coach Faulkner, he was at Georgia before he got to Georgia Tech, and you know, he liked me a lot at Georgia, and so we'd had a relationship for probably about 3 years in, and you know, I just knew him a lot, and I trusted him a lot. And then Coach Key had just got hired, and I didn't heard anything bad about Coach Key. It was all good things, and so I got to meet him, and it was good, and I liked him a lot, so. I mean, yeah, and then the education is like top tier.
I was about to say, yeah. The old saying is there's a few places that you don't turn down a scholarship to. That's Duke and Georgia Tech, strictly because of the academics. The other ones, if you're willing to serve, is Navy and Army.
Right.
Because you're going to be set for life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
seriously. And Camden, but that's the thing with my sister too, is she loved Georgia Tech. She loved her coaches, and she loved the academic aspects of it,
Yep.
because you could never play another snap of football in your life, right?
Right.
But and you have to have something to fall back on.
Yep.
And Georgia Tech is a degree that you want on your transcript.
100%. 100%.
Do you have any idea what you're gonna major in or anything like that?
I think I'm a major in business administration. I feel like it's kind of broad. I really
Yeah.
don't know what I want to do
I
after
majored
football.
in broadcast communication.
Yeah.
That's like, you can't get any broader than that.
Yeah. So I don't really know what I want to do after football yet, but I kind of just ride the wave and see what happens.
There's a lot you can do with business
Yeah.
administration, especially from Georgia Tech.
Right. Yeah.
But another thing that my sister talked about, let's freaking talk about the amenities at Georgia Tech. And I'm not talking about the football stuff. I'm talking about the dorms, people. When my sister showed me the pictures of the dorms that she's going to be living in, first off, it's not dorms. It's an apartment. You each get your own room. And I was telling you before when we were setting everything up that I went to Mississippi State, right? And I was put in the oldest dorm on campus. It's not even a dorm anymore because it was literally a safety hazard. Like, anybody that's lived in Rice Hall, I'm right there with you. We all suffered together. But I had like the community showers. It looked like a prison cell. Like I was just living my life, right? Y'all are put up in straight up luxury. Like,
It's really
do you have
nice.
any idea? Let's talk about that. Do you have any idea who you're rooming with and stuff yet?
I do. I'm rooming with a receiver down in Warner Robins, Isaiah Canyon. A lineman from IMG, his name's Santana. A lineman from Hiram, his name's Jameson. And then a running back from Parkview, his name's Traylon. So
Awesome. Are you excited? Have you met those guys like in person yet?
I've seen them on visits. Like I've seen them like a lot, and I like all of them. So I'm excited about it.
Good. And you're moving in here soon.
Yep.
Like I said, this will air after you've officially moved in. But what are you most excited about getting there?
Honestly, I think just like living by myself, I'm excited, but I mean, obviously it's a little nerve-wracking.
The
but
independence part of it.
yeah, but I mean, I'm a little excited about that, and honestly, I'm just excited to get to work.
Yeah. Are you nervous about living in Atlanta? As far as coming from country Oconee County and then moving to one of the biggest cities?
Yeah, I mean, the campus is not really, it's not like in the middle of Atlanta. It's kind of like when you get on campus, you really don't feel like you're in Atlanta except like when you see the backdrop. But, you know, I like it and I'm excited. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. And have you ever, before being recruited by them, have you ever visited Georgia Tech before?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Oh, not out of like football recruiting, no.
So outside of recruiting, you've never been to like a Georgia Tech game or anything?
No.
Me either. I haven't been to one. My sister went to one, but I haven't been to one. So are you excited about like any, I guess, are there any traditions? I'm familiar with Georgia Tech, but not to the point to where I'm aware of all of their little traditions or whatever. Like, is there anything specific?
I'm right with you.
You're right with me. You got a lot
with
to
you.
learn.
Yep.
Georgia Tech people, comment in the comments below things that Aaron needs to know about Georgia Tech. All things Georgia Tech. Put them in there. But what's something that you want Georgia Tech fans to know about you? Like, I guess outside of football, I guess, like as far as the type of player, the type of person that you want to bring to their program.
I would say that, you know, I'm a nice person. I'm not gonna like hurt your feelings or anything if you come up to me and ask for like a picture or something. Like I'm open to that. And so, you know, I really like want to influence the younger generation. That's one of the big things for me, just because when I was a younger kid, I always looked up to the older kids. So I really just want to be a role model and show kids like I don't know, just be a good role model.
Yeah, to be a good leader and things
Yeah.
like that, which is good. I mean, too, at Georgia Tech, I think Georgia Tech, like I said, like Georgia Tech and Duke players, I think are held to a higher standard. It not always has to be athletically. I think just in general, same with Army players, same with Navy players. I think they're just held to a different standard considering the reputations of the university.
Right.
And so with that being said, you know, what do you think sets you apart from other quarterbacks as far as the way that you play. It can be anything because, you know, in college, everybody's good.
Right,
You got
yeah.
to fight for a spot now.
I would say my composure and also just my leadership skills and being able to, like, lead a group of guys and just, you know, composure on the field, not getting too high, too low, just staying right even.
You're ahead of Trevor Lawrence. I think is it Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson, Jake Fromm, and another one that I'm leaving out. Gunner Stockton.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. It's you, Trevor, Deshaun, Gunner, Jake. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's
Y'all
how it goes.
don't fact check me on that. I saw it on an article the other day, so I just winged that off the top of my head. But somewhere around there. But I mean, all of those are big names, right? They're all playing, and they all played at prestigious programs, and now a majority of them are in the NFL. Gunner's not in the NFL.
No,
he's still at Georgia right now. Yeah. Actually, I didn't even know that Gunner was even on the list. Like, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But all of those players played in the NFL except Gunner, who's at Georgia. How does it feel to be ahead of all of them?
It's definitely crazy. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. So.
Did any of them ever reach out to you after you broke the record?
No, I thought Trevor might, but he
I know,
ended up
man.
not.
I was wondering on my way down here. I was like, I wonder if Trevor made contact with him. I don't even know if Trevor even knows that his record was broken.
Well, he's got a lot going on right now, so I'm not gonna fault him for it.
Oh yeah, Trevor. If you ever see this, which I doubt Trevor Lawrence is gonna see this, give Aaron a call. He'd love to talk to you. He'd love to chat it up. But could you imagine?
I know. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Trevor Lawrence saw that, which he's not. We're not even going to put that out there that he will. He's more than likely not going to see it unless somebody he knows sends it to him. But, I mean, golly, man, like Deshaun Watson, all of them, those are huge names, dude. To be ahead of all of them, like, I don't even know how you wrap your brain around it, because I don't think I could wrap my brain around it. You know what I mean? I think that's crazy. Let's talk about the state championship game. Obviously, we saw that, I think it was Georgia Public Broadcasting's thing, and you were just like a puddle, man. Like, you were just bawling like a baby, which is completely expected and totally okay to cry. But when you realized, did you know that when you threw that that touchdown that surpassed the record, did you know that was going to be the pass to do it?
I literally didn't know. I was celebrating like, holy cow, we're about to win a state championship. And then I come off to the sideline, and they're like, oh, you broke it. And I was like, holy cow. I'm like, everyone's slapping me on the head, and I'm like, holy cow. And then just had a moment to myself, and it hit me, and I was like, because, I mean, all the hard work that you put in, it just comes back to you in that moment, and, like, everything that you've worked for. And so it all kind of just hits you at once.
Did it hit you at first, or were you still in shock, or did you just start bawling?
I mean,
did you just break down?
I was kind of in shock. I was still in the middle of a game, so I'm trying to focus on the game and like think about that a little bit. I'm like, I got to get this out of my mind so I can go win the game. And so, I mean, it was a lot of things going on at once, but I did my best to just stay focused on the game.
Yeah. And that was your third state championship, man. Like, we've said it multiple times, but, like, I don't think people understand, like, it's a blessing just to make it to a state championship.
Yeah, it is.
Going to a state championship I never experienced it.
Right.
I never got to go to a state championship and play for one, and my brother never got to go to a state championship and play for one. You are, especially in Georgia, it is so hard. It doesn't matter what classification you're in. It doesn't matter if you're public or private school. There are athletes everywhere.
Yep.
And it's so hard to not just go to one, but to win 3 times is huge. And, you know, in the past I don't know how many state championships y'all have won in total in the past few years. Well, I guess we could look behind you. There's all the banners up right there.
3. So the one at my freshman year was our first one.
State champs 2020, 21, 22, and then now 23. So 4. Yeah, okay, right.
Yep.
And so what do you think overall has made this program so successful?
I would say the leadership by Coach Vandegrift, honestly. You know, he's done a great job with the program, and he's brought it to the top, and it's shown. But, you know, just how he leads this group of guys, and, you know, just how he runs the program, it's great.
With that, at the end of every episode, I do a verse of the day. And today's verse is Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not faint. That's a great one.
Yep.
What do you think that verse means to you? Do you need to like read it? Are you a reader instead of a hearer?
I mean, I kind of got it in my mind a little bit. I mean, it just talks about how if you walk with God, you know, he's going to take you to the top. And, you know, if you're walking with God, you really have nothing to fear about because, you know, he's with you every step of the way and he's not going to let you fall. It talks about he will not let you faint. So, you know, he's not going to let you fall. He's going to take care of you every step of the way.
Have you definitely experienced that, you know, as far as this journey goes?
100%. 100%. There's always ups and downs. And that best part of being a Christian is, I mean, you got him with you every step of the way. You have nothing to worry about. Obviously, we're all human. We're still going to worry. But, you know, if you can just rely on the Lord and put all your worries on the Lord, it helps a lot.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of just to talk about a little bit of faith in football, you know, you've always been a Christian. You obviously went to a Christian school. But when did, you know, that relationship with Christ really settle in? Like, when did you really start to have a relationship with him? Not like worship him.
Right.
But, you know, like a relationship with him.
I would say sophomore year, we did like a spiritual retreat thing. And, you know, that's the first time I really felt God's, like, presence over me. And, like, when it happened, I literally started bawling, crying, like, because we were worshiping. And, like,
Same thing happened to
it
me.
just hit me. And I just, like, started bawling, crying. And, you know, I talked with one of our worship guys or one of the pastor guys for like probably an hour. Me and Austin, the center that I was talking about, we were just talking for an hour, and like he was experiencing the same thing I was, and that was just like the first time I felt God's presence, and it's truly like unbelievable. And so, I mean, after that, I was like, I'm fully sold, like, and I started building a relationship with Christ, and it was awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of things, you know, kids your age too, it's hard for them to really have a relationship with Christ because being a Christian is sometimes the Christian way isn't always the fun or like the cool way to do things and the cool way to handle yourself. And it's very easy for social media to attack you. So what do you have to say, you know, to the people your age and the athletes your age who have maybe been reluctant to be public about their faith?
Yeah, I would say just like don't be scared to talk about it because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all human and, you know, sin's in the world, and it was made that clear from the beginning, and that's the reason why Jesus died on the cross is for our sins. So, I mean, everyone's going to sin, and we're not perfect because we're not Jesus. So I feel like you shouldn't be scared to talk about it because everyone makes mistakes and everyone messes up, everyone sins, but, you know, it's about like going to Jesus after that happens and, you know, just asking for forgiveness and knowing that he died on the cross because he knew that would happen.
Why do you think it's important or beneficial for athletes to have such a strong faith, especially if you end up going to the league and stuff like that?
I would say it's really important because, I mean, oftentimes when you're playing football, you can find that your identity is in as a football player, but really your identity is found in Christ, and your identity is in your relationship with the Lord. And, you know, so your identity is just with Jesus, and you're not defined by anything that happens on the football field. And like, that's not your life. So it's really just something so much bigger.
Yeah. And my last question is, you know, when times get tough, I know we just had our verse of the day, but is there a verse or anything that you kind of look back to or remember, you know, that just keeps you going, especially during times like, you know, your recruiting process when you're starting to doubt a bunch of things, you know, was there a specific verse that you really tied yourself to?
John 13:7 is, you might not understand what I'm doing now, but later you will understand. I mean, that's a good one. That's such a big verse that you can just lean on.
Very standard. I mean, and the thing is, again, you know, people are like, why do you talk about your faith on Beyond the Whistle? One, because I want to. And two, you know, there's a lot of people who've never even been exposed to the gospel. And there's a lot of people who have a bunch of misunderstandings about Christians and Christianity and things like that. Like, we're called to love people. We're called to love your teammates. You're called to love, you know, those who you're playing against. I often think, you know, a lot of the times when Christianity ties to sports is when it talks about, love your enemies and things like that. Well, when you get on a field, like, you're playing against your enemies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I think it's so important to remember that you're all here for one common purpose. On the football field, it's for football, but at the same time, it's also, God gave you the talents that you do.
Sure.
God, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have been born with athletic ability.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think that's just important for people to understand. And have you ever been asked why you were a Christian?
I haven't. I have not been asked that question before.
I just recently got asked my first "Why are you a Christian?" question, and I was like, and my first reaction was like, why wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you have to realize, like, not a lot of people grew up.
People don't
going to church. Like, not a lot of people, or they've had bad experiences with the church, or they've had bad experiences with Christians. I have had bad experiences with fellow Christians. You know what I mean? But like you said, none of us are perfect.
Right.
We live in a fallen world. This world is never going to be perfect. Everybody's not always going to love each other, even though that's what we're called to do. But I think it's very important to, especially being an athlete, to keep your eyes set on the main goal, which is, obviously winning championships and things like that is a goal. But at the end of the day, the main goal is to get to heaven. The main goal is to try and be more like Jesus at the end of the day. And I think that you're doing a great job of that. And especially this program, I know you guys are a Christian school, but, I mean, just because you're a Christian school doesn't mean that everybody is going to,
very true,
live by the morals and the standards that the Bible teaches us. But anyways, is there anything else that you want to talk about or mention, something I left out? It could be faith, football, whatever.
I'm good. Yeah.
Last thing, I guess we can end it on is, what is one thing that you want to tell young athletes who are also, still struggling, even if it's the recruiting process or they're waiting for their time to shine, things like that?
I would say the biggest thing is just be patient and, really just work hard, because at the end of the day, if you're working hard, and a bunch of people aren't seeing it, but if you're working hard, at some point it's going to show. So I would say just work hard, even when no one's looking. Just work hard, and it'll come to the light, and it'll be shown. And be patient and trust the Lord.
Alrighty. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for being on here. You guys, be sure to follow Aaron on all his socials. I don't know what your Twitter username is. What's your Twitter username?
My
Do you know
Twitter
it?
is Philo Aaron.
And then what's your Instagram?
Aaron.Philo.
There you go. If you have a TikTok, if you want to shout that one out.
I don't.
Okay. You're not a TikToker?
No.
I can be a TikToker sometimes, not really though. But anyways, you guys be sure to follow Aaron. Go leave a nice comment on his stuff, especially if you're a Georgia Tech fan. You guys are getting a good one, and you guys should be very excited about the quarterback that's coming in. Aaron, thank you so much for being here with me, despite all the technical difficulties before. But I appreciate you for being here. I'm excited for you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, y'all.